Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the second part, I will focus on these three examples to show you how data tables are used within JSF. So I'll jump to this part. Here it is. So you can see here that in this example, it's a little bit longer than the examples we had before. You can see that in this example, I will focus on the use of data tables using JSF within XHTML. If you remember, the most important thing to talk about here, that when you have an information system and you need to display information from a database, you don't know in advance how many entries or records it will contain. And then you need to have a component that displays dynamically the content of this list of products or the list of the entries you have or in your database, which means it should be a dynamic content. It is not static. While in HTML, as we already know, it is not possible to have this. So if you remember, we were using GSPs because it was possible to combine Java within the code of HTML, and we were putting some Java coding inside. Now, in using XHTML, it is easier because, as we will see, we will have to define simply, you can see a a new tag that is automatically called data table. So why we simply don't use JSF instead of using, for example, this list of tags? Of course, the number of tags we have in HTML is quite respectable, not very great number of tags. But when you are using XHTML, because it's an extension, the number of tags to be used is really very long. However, what are the advantages? These different tags embeds the different behaviors that you need to have using both HTML and the Java coding you are going to code inside. Why do we do this? Because in general, when implementing, I'm going to show you from this slide. I'm going to explain from this slide at the beginning. Okay. In general, you may have computer scientists that are in charge to develop all the different tiers, while in some other circumstances, everyone is specialized on a given tier. So people specialized in general on the web and the client side are not necessarily computer scientists. They might be, for example, designers that don't necessarily understand and master development of code. They are more comfortable using simply tags. That's why with the use of XHTML, it is easier for them now to simply know by heart these different tags and then use them according to the behavior they have in every single tag. Okay, so it's not necessary to be a computer scientist because you don't really need to have some knowledge about programming. So it's like we offer to these designers a list of tags that you can use on the user interface side, and these tags encompasses or embeds some behavior and some coding inside. So since we are using here a list of products, a list of entries of a database, of a list of something, so it becomes easier to use data table. So how do we say to this data table that it is going to receive a list of things? You can see the value here. It is the name of a managed bin as we did before, but we provide a list here. And then within the different tags that belong to this data table, we provide the information about this list inside. This is what I'm going to explain later. So as you can see, I have the first XHTML is my products.xhtml. It is exactly the one we have here. Okay, so, and I have a synchronization with my product manager. It is the managed bin of this view. But since I am dealing with different products, every product that has an ID, a description, a date, and a quantity, I need to have the model here within this package. When I click on, for example, one of these IDs, I am automatically I am forwarded to a new, here it is, to a new page that shows or displays information about a given product. This is the role of this XHTML, which is edit product. And both views are managed by this product manager. It's not necessary to have one manager for all of them. I can have two managers for these two views, but in this case, I am having only one. It is enough to have one manager with these two views. Here, I'm also adding packages to show you simply that I can keep my project as very simple, my different views within web pages and my source packages and my different managed bins inside my source package folder. Or I can, if I need to have more modularity, I can say, for example, I can put all different views concerning products inside this package, and this package is inside view to show that I have control, that I have view, and later on we will add also a model. Okay, it's the same for, as you can see, my managed bins. I am having product manager inside my product here. The last one I'm going to explain also is another configuration files. In addition to the web XML, I would like to talk about this facesconfig.xml, in which I use in conjunction with these properties files. Okay, so this, if you remember here, the different values I was having before. So you can see the output text here, value, I type meter. Here, my command button, value, I type submit. Sometimes these different values are repeated in different views. So what I do, it's like I put all of them in one file. And this file, in this case, is called labels, okay? In which I put all the different labels that I'm going to, that I will have to deal with in all my application. Okay, so you can see that different values here, this value, this, not this one, sorry, this value, the output text, this value, for example, which other I have? Yes, I have others. Okay, I will show you in my program. I am putting them there. Okay, I think that's all what I. So here I can show you this example where, First of all, I will concentrate on explaining. I no longer need these other files. So I will show you my label properties. So you can see that is a property file. So how you do it, you go in source package, you say new, and you have here in other, you go to other, and you have properties file. So in this case, we call it labels, and automatically it is given the dot properties extension. So you can see that I have different labels here, and then I can change them the way I want. I can add, I can delete if I want. But at the same time, if you go to facesconfig.xml, you need to add this in as the application. It is called a resource bundle, in which you have to specify the name of these labels and how it is exploited, as I explained it before. So for example, the title of my application is labels.productlist. So if I go to product list, here it is product space list. If I want to change it, I can change it only here, and then it is automatic. It changes automatically in all the places where it is mentioned. Okay, so you see, for example, it is used here and it is used here. Okay, so we're done talking about this. Now, the most important thing that I want to explain here is my data table. Sorry, I need now to call my controller, which is product manager. As you can see, in my product manager, I have two properties. Okay, so I have a product list and I have one. It's a sort of pointer that points to one of the selected products. But what is important at the beginning is this my product list. As you can see, at the beginning of my application, at the constructor, I add two products. I add this first product, number one television, with a given date, with a quantity and a new product. Okay, and automatically it populates this one. That's why when I call product XHTML, my data table, and I say that the value of data table is product manager dot product list. So it is automatically populated with the one I have here, which is populated from the constructor. And then you can see that I have a variable, which is a sort of cursor that will use all along my data table. So you can see all these are my data table because I have different columns. So in the first column, I have the first facet, which is the ID. The second one, I have the first one, the facet, I have the description. In the facet, I specify the header. So I have my labels.description, labels.date, labels.quantity, and labels.delete. Okay, so about when I specify, let's say, for example, my description, at the output, I have, what is the value? Is product. Product is this one. Okay, so it's one product among this product list. Is product dot description. Okay, and product dot description is what I have in my model. I have product, and then I have product dot get description, set description. Okay, so let me show you when I execute this. Okay, so you can see that I have these different, this is the header, and then I have in every line, so the ID, the description, the date, the quantity, and an icon to give the possibility to the user to delete this line. So if I go back here to my product manager and product.xhtml, so for the column description, there's nothing to say, and it is the case of also for the date and the quantity. It is exactly the same. However, I have some specific code in my first one, because the ID, I am given the information, but at the same time you can see that it is a link. So how it is programmed? So the label is the label.id, but then I'm not specifying it is an output text, but I'm specifying it is a command link. It is a link. So what's the value? It's product.id. But what is the action when I will click on this value? I will call my product manager with the edit, and between parentheses, I'm giving the product ID, which means please go to product manager managed bin, go to the method edit, to which I am giving you the ID. So if I go to my product manager, I have the different getter and setters. I have the constructor, but I have also the edit, to which I give the value of, to which I give the ID of the product to edit. Okay, if you see at the end, I will forward the control to edit product.xhtml. Okay, what do I have inside? It's not necessary to explain everything, but if you can see at the beginning, I have also an add product. Okay, so what is the difference between this one and this one? If I call this, you will see that I am using, I am calling edit product.xhtml with all the information. But then if I call add product, I call the same one, but with no information. So in both cases, I am using one XHTML, which is the edit product.xhtml. So at the beginning, this is the command link that say product manager labels.add product. So what is label.add product? It's this one. Okay. But what is the action? I call product manager.edit with the value 0 here. So when I go on product manager, if it is 0, I will say that my selected product is one product, is a new product. While if it is not 0, it means I am having one. I simply loop through my product list to find to which one I am dealing with. Okay. We will see if I go to edit products. So it's another one that I will explain later. Okay, I go back to product XHTML. So what is next to explain is the delete. So if you can see, for every line, I have the icon delete. So when I click on delete, what will happen? I have the confirmation that I need to delete, but then when I click, I should remember to which line I am clicking. So first of all, I have the label delete. Okay, it's this one. And then I have a command link. It's a link. If you see, when I drag the mouse, it is a link. Okay, but then what is the action listener? Action listener, first of all, on click, I have to confirm that it is a deletion. And I call product manager.delete. Okay, and what is the value? I am giving a graphic image, which is my icon delete. Where is my icon delete? It is here. Here it is, in my images folder. And then I have an attribute. This attribute, it is the attribute that I need to give to my product manager.delete, which is product.id. I can do it this way, or I can give it between parentheses here. So when I go to my product manager dot delete, here it is. So first of all, I retrieve my product ID to delete. I retrieve the ID, and then I loop until I find the one that I would like to delete. When I find it, I remove it from my product list simply. For the moment, I am not dealing with the database. Everything is in an array list. Okay, and I'm using here a message. So if I delete, you can see that I have a message. What is this message? It is in my product.xhtml specified at the beginning. Here it is. I put all the different messages. So I put my messages here to show the interaction with the system. So when I delete, for example, okay, when I delete, I say in my faces message, in the place that I have shown you, I say successfully deleted. Okay. Now, if I go to edit product, so when I click, for example, on edit, and I change, let's say, for example, this, I save, you see that it is automatically saved. And it is said that it is saved again with the message. So when I click here, what do I show? I go to edit product. So I have editing a product. It's this one. Then I have a legend, a field set. Sorry, I have first of all editing the product. I have this one and I have this one, and I have a field set that is called product information. So product information, and I have a panel grid with 2 columns. So 2 by 2, I have labels ID, labels description, the date, and the quantity. Okay, and every time, what do? I have a synchronization with product manager dot the selected product dot ID dot description dot date and dot quantity. Okay, and then I have, when I click on the command button save, I go to my product manager save method. If I click on cancel, I simply go back to my product.xhtml. It could be product.xhtml or simply product. I go back to this file. Okay, so what do I have in my product manager save? Product manager, if you see save here, I simply retrieve the one I am dealing with and I add it in my, here it is, I add it in my product list. So this is simply Java to retrieve the ID to be saved with the different new information, and then I put it, and then I display successfully saved, and then I go back automatically to my products.xhtml. It is the same also if I go cancel here, I click on add product, I type something, description, with some dates, blah, 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 with the quantity, etc. And then click on save, it is automatically added here. Okay. Now, if I go back to my program, this is what I wanted to explain, how we deal with data tables. Now, the second one, it is another program. I'm not going to display all the details, but this is to show you that I can deal with not only one table, but more than one table. You can see here that I have products. I have another registration, for example, that if I have to deal with accounts, and then I split also my different managed bin in the according to the different tables I'm dealing with. So here I have products and I have register. So if I click on data tables, those are my web pages. If I run it, It's not this one. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to run this one. So this is registration. If I don't type anything, I have errors. If I click on new account, I go to this. If I click here to, let's say, this one with this one, I go then with my product list. And if you see, I have the welcome, which means that in the products, I can have access to information from the other one. So that's all what I want to explain regarding if you want to use two tables. All what is possible with one table, it is possible with the second table. Now, the last part to explain in this video is the use of prime phases. What is it? It's really a very, very interesting library to use, which adds some very interesting capabilities and functionalities, and also specific design for the user interface side. So if you remember, this is my product list using the regular libraries in JSF and XHTML, while if you use the prime phases, it becomes this one. So it adds some new design to your application. And it is simply done. You can see also this is the old one and how the editing now has become. You see that it's almost the same, but with new design. So what we add these prime phases, we add another XML NS namespaces with the P as a prefix. And then, as you can see, you have other tags that are specific to this library. So data table belongs not only to the H, but belongs also to the P. So you see that P has also data table, but you can see, for example, that I can specify other attributes such as, for example, the paginator, okay, with the number of rows to display. That's why we are having this paginator here automatically as soon as you specify your paginator in your tag, and all the other information don't change. As you can see, also the column changes, etc. Yes, this is prime phases is one of the most used libraries in terms of UI. This is their primefaces.org. I have already, yes, this is the one, prime phases. It is already used by some very known companies in the world that uses prime phases. And what is another interesting characteristic is that you have not only prime phases for UI, but you have also prime ng for Angular and prime for React and prime view for Vue.js. So it is really used in different contexts, and it has many themes. If you want to see what are the different components, I urge you to go to demo. Okay, so before it loads, I'm going to show you in NetBeans how it behaves. Here it is. So you can see it is exactly the same. Okay, you have the delete, etc. Yeah, you can see also how it is displayed. You see that even the messages are better than the messages before, and you can close your message. If I go, you can also, you have the row. Yes, you have also this if you want to search within or within your, if I type R, for example, you see that it is filtered. If you type on the date here, something happened, not very, okay. If I type here, yeah, you see that if I type here, it is sorted according to what, if I type now on quantity, you see that it is sorted according to the quantity, etc. Now, if I type on ID, you see, for example, that I can close this one, or your field set. You can have this spinner, etc. So it's really very interesting one. I'm going to show you also it is in web pages, products prime. Let's go to data table. You have in your column, P column, you have the header text, so no need to specify the facet as it was the case before, but you specify only that you would like to sort and that you would like to filter. That's why you are getting this one and this one here. Unfortunately, it hasn't come yet. Okay, so I really advise you to go to their website and discover the different features it has. I'm going to change my network to see if it works. Okay, now it works. So here are the different, you can see the different buttons. So you have different buttons that, and you have also the code to have these buttons. You can have the different links that you might have. You can have link button also. You can have the data. So here you have, for example, the one that I'm using, data table. It's the one that I have shown you. Here is your table. You can have selection. So if you want to select this line, you can have lazy table. Here it is with the how many rows to show, with the paginator, with this and that. You have mind map, you have diagrams, you have pick list, you have tree table, etc. And you have panels, overlay, menus, charts. You have really different components that you can use in prime phases, and you can also combine that you can use within React or within Vue or within Angular. Okay, so in the next part, here ends my second video. In the next part, I will explain how JSF could be combined with AGVs.